Hi, I'm Julie King,
And I'm Amanda King.
and we're the King sisters.
That's right.
And the testimony that we have today is an exciting, amazing testimony of miraculous intervention that the Lord did in saving my sister's life. It was amazing and it's awing, and we just want to share it
That's right.
and glorify the Lord. So
in spite of stupid human decisions, the Lord is so merciful and wonderful. So
He is. And that is important to note, though. He doesn't just save us when we're doing good and something. He is so compassionate. He saves us when we've made mistakes or errors, or maybe not used the best judgment.
Or counsel.
Maybe not following advice that maybe
would
have been a wiser move. But he's not like that. He loves us. He loved you, and he saved you.
That's right. So in my semi-younger years, before all my wisdom I have today.
Okay, not that it wasn't that long ago. So
So Mom and I had gone back to visit family in California, and Julie and Dad, they stayed here.
Yep.
And it was just a short trip.
Me and the kids stayed here. Yeah. Dad stayed here. Yeah. I mean, it really wasn't that long ago.
Right. It was like, it was terrible.
It was after college. Like, it was a few years back.
Yeah. But. So we were visiting my brother's family, and my nephew's there. Just our family has weird age things, but my nephews and I aren't huge distant age apart.
Right.
And so I'm the oldest. There's two of them, Kirk and Tyler. Kirk is the oldest, and then Tyler's the youngest of the three of us, and I'm the oldest of the three of us. And growing up, I was always the tallest, and then as we hit, teenage years and young adulthood, they shot up like trees. And so Kirk is like 6'2", and Tyler is like 6'4", I think, they're very tall.
Yeah, they were big guys.
And so at the time, Kirk had gotten into surfing, and so when we came to visit, he was like, "Oh, we got to go surfing." And so Betty, our brother's wife, she took us down to the beach, and so it's her and Mom and Kirk, Tyler, and I. And Kirk takes me to a surf shop.
And Mom's like, no.
Mom is like a hardcore not wanting me to do this, right? She's like, it's dangerous. The ocean is scary, And I'm like, I got this. Like, Kirk can do it. I can do it. Like, it's all good. Don't worry. And so Kirk takes me to a surf shop, and we rent a longboard for me. And if you don't know anything about surfing, longboards are gigantic, humongous. Okay, like the big long ones that you see in movies.
So is it super awkward to begin with?
Yes, very difficult to handle because of its size, but it's a lot easier, supposedly, to stand up on because there's a lot more to balance on than the little ones.
Okay.
And Kirk had his own board, and Tyler was just going to swim with us. So we get our boards. I think they had me in a wetsuit too, actually, which, gosh, those things they're terrible.
They probably... They keep you warm.
They are horrible.
Beneficial, like to keep you warm. And
and if I remember correctly, I think it was cooler. And California coast, your Pacific Ocean is colder water than like any the East or the Gulf.
And you probably look super cool.
You look,
she probably was like totally rocking it.
It was pretty painful. So anyways, so we get all geared up, and Mom is like having a fit. She doesn't want me to go.
Of course.
And
you are totally
and I'm like,
disregarding
we are totally going. And Mom always had trouble with her knees. And so we didn't want to go real far on the beach because it was hard on her to walk in the sand.
Sure.
So we got her and Betty situated. They got their blankets out and chairs, and they're sitting. And so we were near a fishing zone, so Kirk, Tyler, and I had to walk down the beach a little ways to get on the other side of it. And it was a real quiet day. There wasn't any other crowded. Wasn't crowded. There wasn't really anybody else swimming. Mm-hmm. And so the three of us, we find our spot to head in, and we head into the water. and I've got this board strapped to me, and I don't know if any of you people watching have surfed before. I had not ever done it before. I had boogie boarded and used skim boards, but I had never surfed for whatever reason. But you have to lay on your stomach on the board, and then you have to paddle out like that. It's all basically upper body strength to get out. Okay,
so it was exhausting.
It was exhausting, and then you have waves coming at you that you have to maneuver over the top of.
Wow.
You know, so people that can really surf, I have a lot of respect for, because you really have to be strong to fight to get through those waves, and because you have to get past those smaller waves, you have to get out of waves to get to the bigger ones that are strong enough to give you the thrust to be able to stand up on the board.
So you guys were kind of down the beach already, past that fishing area from Mom and Betty, and then now you're going farther out to get to the waves. So you guys are really kind of getting out there.
We're getting out there, and then, you know, the ocean has that natural current that's kind of pulling you out, and it's also can kind of like push you further down. And so we're even floating a little bit further away from Mom and Betty.
Okay.
And so we're fighting to get out there, and, you know, Kirk is so much bigger than me. His arms are way longer than mine. He's like way ahead of me. And Tyler has stayed next to me, and he's just basically walking next to me.
Okay.
And I am desperately trying to catch up to Kirk, and it's like I finally hit a point that this is impossible. I cannot do this. I'm so exhausted. My arms were like burning and like total jello. Like when you have, you know, so exerted that they just are like, you know, flat. They feel like they're just flopping around.
And this is where there's still just little waves at this point?
Yeah, I mean, they were getting bigger, but we weren't to the big waves
not to the
yet.
big waves where you could stand up yet.
Right.
Okay. But
and
still, already that sounds exhausting.
Yeah. I mean, I was exhausted. And I mean, I had fallen off it a few times, had to climb back up and, you know, and get back on. But, and so finally I turned to Tyler and I was like, you know what? I'm done. I can't do this. I'm too tired. I don't want to even try. And he's like, okay, well, can I take the board? And I was like, well, of course you can. So I unstrapped it and I give him the cord, and in a shot, he like takes off. I mean, again, he's huge and has these arms that are like twice the length of mine, I think. And he just takes off and goes after Kirk. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go in, and I go to step, and I go completely underwater. Like, I submerge completely. My head goes underwater, and I have never ever gone that deep in the ocean before. Just swimming. Like, right. I'm not a good swimmer. Okay. I mean, really.
We are athletes.
Why was I doing this?
We're athletes. Let me point out we're athletes, but
swimming is not our sport.
It's not a sport we're
not even a little bit. Like, my sport in swimming is floating on a raft. Like,
or a boat.
or a boat or a kayak, but not using my own body
it's really
to
not
stay afloat.
We're just really not good swimmers. Not really. Not athletically or competitively.
So I haven't quite realized the danger that I'm in, because I'm like, okay, it's no big deal. I'm gonna just swim myself in, right? I'm gonna just, start swimming hardcore, and that's fine. I'll be in just a second.
Oh
and so
gosh.
I start swimming. I'm kicking my legs as hard as I can, and I realize I am making no progress. I'm not getting any closer to the beach.
Other than wearing out.
Other than now, not only are my arms shot, but my legs also are shot. Like, I am completely out of gas here. I am tanked, and so I'm kind of. I don't float well either, right? Like, I sink. So I'm like a buoy. Like, I'm kind of coming up and going down, and I'm thinking, what am I gonna do?
Well, where's Kirk and Tyler at this point?
I turn around to look, because I think I need to tell Tyler I need the board back. Yeah. And so I turn around to holler at him, and he has caught up with Kirk. They are out, like, so far. They're past the waves. They're both sitting with their backs. They're sitting on their boards with their boards, like, between their legs hanging off on either side, but their backs are to me. And I yell to them, and there's no acknowledgement.
And they're like specks?
They're like specks on the horizon. So like, they're so far away.
Wow.
They cannot hear me. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm really in trouble here.
Oh my gosh.
And so I try to fight a little bit more, but that current, that pull that the ocean has, I couldn't make any progress. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, like, I think I'm going to drown. I don't know how to get out of this. I think this is it. And, you know, you think in those moments that you're going to be like, wah, you know, freaking out. But in the moment, I was so calm, and so it was just kind of like, okay, like, this is it. This is where it ends. Like, right here, I'm going to drown. And okay. And I mean, it sounds crazy, but it was just like so matter of fact, so calm, not panicky, nothing. And a huge wave hit me, and I went underwater, and it was like, it must have been that last ounce of human survival instinct bubbled up, and the Lord
Spirit
gave me a kickstart.
Yeah.
I came up out of the water, and I used every last ounce of strength I had to push myself up out of the water as high as I could, wave my arms, and scream for Tyler. I screamed his name as loud as I possibly could, and he didn't turn and look at me. He didn't hear me. He couldn't hear me, obviously. And not like he was ignoring me. He couldn't hear me.
They were too far away.
And
the water and the waves.
And it was just...
And you might not have been very loud.
And maybe I wasn't. It seemed like I was, but then again, maybe not. And it was like, all right. And I went right back under. Like, I just sunk, like, just down. And I was totally underwater. And all of a sudden, this huge, it felt like a huge hand grabs my shoulder and yanks me up and, like, holds me kind of up in the air. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And it's Tyler. And he's like, you okay? And I was like, get me into the beach now. No, I am not okay. I am not okay. I am going to drown. I am almost drowning. Get me in. And he's laughing. Like, he does not realize that I was, like, succumbing to death. Yeah, like, it was in process. And he's like, oh, okay, come on. And he, like, just kind of throws me onto the board. Like, I'm like... just kind of flops me on there and drags me in, and I'm like, just kind of befuddled, like I in a daze kind of, and I sit down on the beach and I'm looking up at him, and
so you're like right by the water where the water first comes.
Yeah, I'm on the beach, I'm on the sand, okay. But I'm where that water will still come up and you know, real soft, and I'm sitting there and he's looking down at me. He's like, so are you okay? And I was like, I'm good. I'm okay. And he's like, okay, well, do you mind if I go back out? And I'm like, it's your choice, but if you want to, I thought I was going to drown. And he's laughing as he walks away. And I'm just like,
oh my gosh,
how did he get to me? Like, I don't understand how he got to me. But so then I'm sitting there and I'm watching him walk out, and I turn and look to my left. And as I look to my left, there's a white horse, a man riding a white horse running towards me. Coming right at me as I look to my left. He's coming right at me. And in like a gallop, and I'm like, gosh, that's weird. I didn't know that they let horses on this beach. And I don't know, well, it's been a weird day. And I look back out and I watch Tyler still, he's, you know, submerging a little bit more into the water, watching him, and I turn back to see if that horse is getting any closer, and it's gone. Like, there's nobody. And I'm like, what the heck? How did it get past me without me seeing it? Like, or hearing it? Like, that's weird.
Yeah, because it was running straight
towards you. Because it was running straight at me.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like, if you're riding a horse on the beach, you got to be in that part of the water, because the sand's harder, right?
Uh-huh.
And so I thought, well, somehow, I guess I missed it. That's weird. And so I got up and I walked down to where Mom and Betty were camped. And
they didn't know anything had happened, right?
They didn't know anything because we were so far away from them.
Yeah, you were so isolated. They had no idea. Like, nobody heard you.
And there weren't any lifeguards on duty where we were. It was really just the three of us out in that area of the water.
So it was so miraculous. Like, that Tyler could have gotten to you.
It's so miraculous that Tyler got to me when he did, and that he found, like, how he even found me, because I was totally under the water when he grabbed me and pulled me up.
Yeah.
And so I get to Mom and Betty, and I'm like, did you guys see that? Did you guys see that horse? The guy on the horse, on the white horse? And they're like, what? And
You're like, no.
And Betty's like, how much water did you swallow? And I was like, I didn't swallow any water. There was a man on a horse. And she's like, there aren't horses allowed on this beach. And I was like, well, I saw a man on a white horse was galloping down the beach just a second ago. I saw him. I don't know where he went. He disappeared. And then I told them how I nearly drowned. And Mom was she was so happy.
No, she was not happy at all. She knew you weren't supposed to be out there.
Yeah.
And we heard about it.
And Mom had a real, she never took advantage of the I told you so or anything like that. Like,
oh, she made sure you knew that she told you.
But they thought that I had just
was delirious,
right? Or whatever.
We're under too long.
Yeah, so just imagined it happening or whatever. But I know it was
the
a
Lord.
Real.
I believe it was the Lord or one of his
rider
angels.
on a white horse was coming down the beach.
He saved
and
or one of his angels
or
we
something.
Don't know
I don't know,
but
all
it was
I know
supernatural.
Is that it was miraculous. That Tyler could have crossed that distance. It was impossible
in
for
the
him.
amount of time that
he couldn't
you
even hear me yell.
Yeah, but you saw them as specks when you came up in that last ditch effort and screamed to him, and then went down, and he got to you
in seconds
while you were under the water from that submersion. That was supernatural. Period. However it all is, whatever, and then seeing the white horse with the man rider, that's just. Whether it's angelic or the Lord himself, I don't know, but that played a hand.
Yeah, it did.
In it. Yeah. Somehow was supernatural intervention.
The Lord amazing. The Lord was merciful, even though I was not practicing wisdom that day
or listening
to wise counsel. I had abandoned both and thought that I could do that. Of course, I could do that, and the Lord I couldn't.
And the Lord is so good. He saved you.
That's right.
And
I am
all
happy to be here and testify to His glory.
Yes.
All to His glory. That's that I am still here for sure.
Yeah. So we'll never forget. We'll never stop.
Nope.
Thanking Him for it.
He is an ever-present help.
Yes, He is. Yes. Psalm 46:1. He is a present help in time of trouble. He really was. He was right there when you needed Him.
Yep.
So, anyways, hope this blessed you and glorifies the Lord and how good He is.
That's right.
All right. So,
all right.
Well, we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.